So yesterday I just watched a very heartbreaking video on the Kareta channel by my friend Hezri Samsuri. It was very heartbreaking because he crashed an original first batch Proton Vira, and those things are rare as hell. I mean, Proton Viras are everywhere on the road, even today. To find one in the condition that he had and for him to crash it, I'm looking at it, wow, damn. Because that car was in its fully original configuration, no Lancer body kits and all that. It even had the original wheel caps that came with the 1.5 models. And it had the metal 1.5 GL badging on the fender, which a lot of it in other cars would have been copied away already. So it was, I would say, a very, very rare specimen. But I do understand his intentions. I do understand the impact. He wants to really ram home the message of his video, which is a warning on safety, that however solid you think your old car is, your classic car is, when it comes to safety standards, when it comes to the structural rigidity, they don't stand a chance against a modern vehicle, even if you're talking about a Beza or an Axia. No chance. No chance. See, the outcome of the crash test, whilst I'm personally not surprised, but it's still nevertheless enlightening. So I remember when the Vira was first launched, in the promotional materials, I remember seeing footage of an official crash test, but I could not find that footage anywhere. So when it was new, the Vira actually passed the crash test standards of its time, which I remember reading was at 50 kilometers per hour. The crash that was done at Miros in last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I don't know when was it exactly done, last week, was that performed at 62 kilometers per hour, 12 kilometers per hour faster than what it was tested for. Why 62 kilometers per hour is because the engineers have gathered all the data and they worked out that in an average of all the crashes that they have observed, most crashes, the point of impact happens with the vehicle traveling at 62 kilometers per hour on average. So let's say, for example, if you could be driving at, say, 130, 140 kilometers per hour, then you saw an obstacle, you brake, you lose control, that process of braking, you will already have brought your speed down. And by the time when you impact, at the point of impact, your speed would have reduced from 120, 130 all the way to 60, 50 kilometers per hour, and over a large sample of data, it averages to 62 kilometers per hour. So that is the reasoning why Miros does their crash tests at 62 kilometers per hour. So the results of that crash, well, the crumple zone of the car was totally gone, front end totally gone. But what was alarming was the damage behind the A pillar. You see, because modern crash standards mandate that your car in a crash test must be able to survive a frontal impact with the A pillars intact, so that the four doors can be opened and survivors can be extracted easily when emergency workers arrive. In the case of the Vira, that was not possible because even though the car looked somewhat okay, the passenger cell looked intact from the outside, what they found was that none of the four doors could be opened, even with special tools. So what this means was that rescue would have been complicated, and that was assuming people could have been rescued at all, because what they also found was that the dashboard was pushed in, the steering wheel was bent, and basically the impact of the passengers, even though they were belted, was so severe they would have died. So in this case, the passenger cell was compromised. And even more alarming was that when they inspected the undercarriage, they found that a lot of the undercarriage welding points broke. So what it shows is that from a metallurgy standpoint, from a structural integrity standpoint, the Vira really does not meet any form of modern safety standards at all. But there's one thing I do want to highlight. A lot of commenters like to emphasize on the point that contrasting safety standards. Modern cars are built better, more solid, they have better crash absorption compared to older cars. But there is one other factor that a lot of people seem to miss out on, and I just want to highlight, is that metal fatigue comes into play. Because these cars that they crash, it's not that they were taken out the factory yard and then stored for 30, 40 years and then crashed today. These were cars that have been used, they have served owners over the course of that 30, 40 years. And those cars that went through a lot of daily use, abuse, went through bumps, went through potholes. All these are the body structure of the car has had to bear. And over the years, metal fatigue happens. This is not to negate whatever points that my colleagues in other media have been mentioning, but in fact, it reinforces the point that in an accident, a severe accident, your chances of surviving in a modern car is just much, much higher, simply due to the difference in the standards which these cars were built and also the rigidity of the body. Because when your car is being used daily over 20 years, 30 years, you cannot expect the metal structure to still have the same integrity as it was when it first came out of the factory. Now, coming back also to the point of standards, do remember also that back in the days of the VIRA, the car manufacturers relied on more manual forms of calculating, of design. They didn't have the advantage of computer-aided simulations that would have allowed them to better optimize the car's chassis, force dissipation, and all that science. So 30, 40 years ago, there was a bit more guesswork in terms of designing and building the structure of the car compared it is today. Because in the 30, 40 years since, car makers have accumulated more data, they have had more advanced design tools and software and all that. So it helps them to just design the cars better. And finally, am I discouraging people from buying and using classic cars? Not at all. In fact, as reflected by Hezri and also Danny Tan in writing his article on paultan.org, and also myself, a lot of us in the motoring media line, we are car enthusiasts and we love our old cars. We love our E30s, we love our Mercedes 124s, we love our classic Proton Sagas or whatever not. We love our classic cars. But we also have to acknowledge that there are certain limitations when you buy into a classic car. Fact of the matter is this: classic cars, old cars, in an event of an accident, the reality is you are disadvantaged. End of story. And my guidelines when it comes to buying old cars and classic cars is this: once above a certain age, I wouldn't recommend a classic car or an old car for one, if it's meant to be a daily use. If you want to use it as a workhorse, definitely not recommended. If it is going to be your only car, if you are starting out building your career, right, as we are running sales or whatnot, you are going out there to make an impact on the world. You don't want to dabble in an old car or a classic car. You also don't want to use it as your default family car either. Simply put, classic cars are great if it's for a weekend drive, or if your daily commutes is very relatively light duties with a lot of smooth roads, maybe a lot of highway driving. Yes, classic cars, great. Now, the purpose of this video is not to judge your choices. If right now, whatever that you are driving is the best of what you can already afford, then please keep driving that and drive it with pride. And know that I am here to cheer you on to a better life. I am here to empower you to dream of something bigger. You may be in a Proton VIRA today, but that does not make it invalid for you to dream of that Honda, for you to dream of that BMW, for you to dream of that Mercedes or that Bentley. You deserve to dream of something bigger. You deserve to move into something better. Your family deserves to see you in a better car. But at the end of the day, work within your current circumstance. Buy what you can afford, use what you can afford, and if what you can afford right now is internally not good enough for you, that should serve as your motivation to build a better life. And I am here to tell you, you can do it. What I would say is this: if you are in a situation where you are living with an old car, that's the best that you have, that's your only car, then by all means, go ahead, continue driving that. Just be aware that you are extremely disadvantaged in the event of an accident. Please exercise more caution on the road. Don't push yourself to the limits where it's possible. Have as much mechanical sympathy as you can with your car and maintain it to the best of your ability. And a lot of these old cars, of course, will still continue to serve you well for a long time. And if you are in a nice modern car and you see a family huddled together in their beat up Proton Vira, in their rusting Proton Iswara, give them some space. Know that these cars may not be able to maneuver as sharply as you can. Know that they may not be able to stop as quickly as you can. Know that there is a good chance that these cars may break down anytime in front of you. Give them space, give them grace. Be grateful that you have the privilege, you have the opportunity to afford something better. And it also would not hurt for us to say a prayer wishing that this family will one day upgrade themselves to something better, to something safer. And even better if one day they do so well that this claptrap that they are driving today, they have the means and the resources to restore it into something safer, something more roadworthy. Because what that car is something that is bringing this family, the father to work, the mother to work, the kids to school, whilst they build and aspire to a better life. If that one day gets this family to a better life, that car has also served them well. So I would like to end this video by saying a note of thanks and to acknowledge my friend Hezri for donating the car to Miros to make such an impactful video. I still feel a bit sayang that such a nice specimen of a Proton Vira is trash like that. But I think that some conversations needs to be had when it comes to car ownership. And I would like to know your views on the topic. With a limited budget, would you go for something modern, or would you like just put it down on the old Proton Vira, Proton Saga and live with it? I don't judge whichever way you go. Just know that whatever direction that you make, there are consequences to your choices. And of course, if you want personalized opinion on that, go check out my car buying at Wise AI. Link is in the description section below. I'm updating that AI actually to reflect some of the points that I mentioned in this video, and I hope you'll find it useful. But for now, until my next video, take care, stay safe, I'll see you soon.